Let old Uncle Fat Jack tell you the real story of how Zoftig Nosh, the most devilishly handsome, debatably competent, and entirely full of himself swashbuckler to ever grace the sandy shores of adventure, found himself up to his neck in trouble, treachery, and tomato-based condiments. Now, while the rest of the Wardens were off hacking, slashing, and heroing their way through the Battle of Dryer, old Zoftig was on a different kind of battlefield, one of sun, surf, and suspiciously shady strangers. What began as a simple babysitting gig, keeping an eye on a pack of rescued orphans, soon spiraled into a high-stakes chase across the sands, a showdown with the shiftiest merchants this side of the sea, and a culinary tragedy that would be spoken of in hushed tones for generations to come. It all started with a beach. Like all great tales, this one began with leisure. Zoftig, a man born for greatness but tragically burdened with laziness, had established a perfect little kingdom by the waves, a fortress of towels, a treasury of half-melted cheese, and a goblet of something strong and questionably acquired. The kids? They were frolicking in the shallows, blissfully unaware that their unofficial guardian was mere moments from accidentally unleashing chaos upon the coastline. For you see, dear friends, fate does not let a man like Zoftig rest for long. Trouble came in the form of two greasy, sunburnt merchants, slinking toward him like sea rats in silk shirts. They smelled of cheap cologne and expensive treachery, and they spoke with the honeyed tones of men who have never once been honest in their lives. "Fine day for business, eh, friend?" one of them said, grinning through teeth that had surely bitten off more than they could chew. "Fine day for keeping your distance," Zoftig replied, not even glancing up from the bowl of salsa he had so painstakingly crafted. But these two? They weren't the walk-away-when-warned type. "We've been watching, yeah," the other one said, "and we like what we see." Now, normally, Zoftig would be flattered by such attention. His reputation as a striking rogue and devastating conversationalist was, after all, well earned. But the way these two were eyeing the kids, the way they lingered like a bad smell in a closed tavern, something wasn't right. And then came the line that turned a lazy beach day into a swashbuckling misadventure. How much for the children? Now, Zoftig was many things. A scoundrel, a liar, a thief, a man who once bet his boots in a card game and lost. But a kid seller? Not even on his worst day. For a brief moment, he considered playing along, leading them on, stringing them out, seeing just how much gold these slimes were willing to part with before he introduced them to the business end of his rapier. But then it hit him. These weren't the kind of men who paid for things. These were the kind of men who stole. And worse yet, they weren't alone. The moment Zoftig reached for his blade, the merchants whistled. From the dunes behind him, figures moved, 4, 5, 6 slaver thugs. Zoftig did the only thing he could. He grabbed his salsa bowl and screamed, "Run, you little gremlins! This just became a chase scene!" And just like that, the beach became a battlefield. The kids scattered like startled gulls. Zoftig ran like he had just insulted the wrong pirate captain. The slavers gave chase, shouting threats and curses that even Zoftig had to admire for creativity. And thus began the legendary, death-defying, salsa-slicked escape that would be talked about for years to come. Now, a lesser man might have fumbled, panicked, maybe even surrendered. But Zoftig? Zoftig was born for moments like these. He vaulted over a fish cart, knocking it straight into the path of his pursuers. He slid under a dock, only to trip over a crab, swear loudly, and keep running. He kicked sand into the eyes of one thug, sending the poor fool straight into the arms of a very angry pelican. And all the while, he held on to the salsa bowl, because a man has priorities. But the slavers weren't giving up. Just when he thought he'd lost them, one of the merchants stepped right into his path. "Nowhere left to run, friend." Zoftig looked left. Ocean. Looked right. More slavers. Looked down his salsa bowl. He took one deep breath, and then he flung the salsa straight into the man's face. Tomato, onion, chili, lime. The man screamed like he'd been struck by a fireball. Zoftig grinned. "Hope you like it extra spicy, you son of a barnacle," with the slavers too busy wiping their eyes, Zoftig made his escape, rallying the kids, diving onto a conveniently placed cart and riding straight into legend. As they sped off towards safety, adventure, and a well-earned drink, one of the kids gasped, "You lost the Salsa!" Zoftig, still breathless from his narrow escape, grinned. That, he said, was a noble sacrifice. A final toast. And so, me friends, and that, me fine and saucy friends, is how Zoftig Nosh outran, outwitted and outsalsified a gang of slavers on a sun-kissed shore. A tale of danger, daring, and the undeniable importance of holding on to what matters most. Priorities, lads. Priorities. He raises a spoon dramatically. Now you may be asking, Uncle Fat Jack, what happened to the Salsa? And I tell ye that bowl, the very one that blinded a man, fueled an escape, and became the stuff of legend, was tragically lost to the tide. But fear not, for the story does not end there. He gestures grandly, revealing a jar filled with vibrant red-gold salsa, its label shimmering in the tavern light. For Zoftig, being the enterprising scoundrel that he is, saw an opportunity in his misfortune. And thus, my friends, was born Zolsa, the only salsa crafted with the same reckless abandon, fiery spice, and utterly chaotic energy that saved his handsome hide. Need to add a kick to your meal? Need to disorient your enemies in a heated duel? Need to look dramatically cooler while eating a taco? Then ye need Zolsa. He winks at the crowd, shaking the jar. Made with only the finest sun-ripened tomatoes, daringly diced onions, a touch of lime, and just enough heat to make a man rethink his life choices. Zolsa is available now for the low price of 2 gold pieces a jar, or 5 if you want the special Blinded by the Bite edition, guaranteed to bring a tear to your eye and a scream to your lips. He leans forward, whispering conspiratorially. Ask your local merchant, demand it from your tavern keep, or if ye be brave enough, seek out Zoftig himself and see if ye can haggle a deal. But I warn ye, he's got quick hands, a quicker wit, and he never parts with a jar of Zolsa lightly. To Zoftig, to the salsa that saved him, and to Zolsa, where every bite is an adventure in itself. The tavern erupts into cheers as the legend and the advertisement comes to an end.